Hello.
Hello. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are your earbuds and the boobs ready?
No,
I see the boobs are ready.
My bra keeps popping out of there though.
It's okay.
Like,
So do your boobs.
in. I know.
looking like muffin tops, like some baked bread.
You know, every now and then I gotta let the pecs get a little pump, action for the pecs. We both have our winter coats right now, and so when my winter coat comes in, my A cups look more like A cups and less like like a boy chest.
Hector minors.
Hector minors. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. So I got a little bit of girliness going on right now. Thanks Christmas. Thanks Thanksgiving dinners. Yeah, but you had some fun out in Vegas.
Yeah, speaking of recovering.
Yeah.
I am not running on all cylinders right now. I'm quite tired. Vegas tends to like suck the life out of me. I've lost at least a year or two of life.
It's the sun.
Totally, it's the sun.
Takes all that life away from you.
There's just something about it that I swear I feel so tired when I'm there, when I leave.
I think it is the sun. Like, it's the dryness, it's the not having anything to do but drink every day.
It's probably
and other
that's
things.
probably it.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
You go from one glass to like 2 bottles on your own, and you wonder why you're not feeling very good the next day.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's probably your fault for being a winehead too. You have to have a bottle of wine.
Yeah, I'm well conditioned with wine.
Nobody helps you with it.
They don't.
Everyone else is like, this weirdo drinking wine.
With her purple teeth.
And it has to be a fresh bottle.
It has to be. You have to just freshly open it. You cannot. I've sent many glasses back.
Yeah, you know those degenerates in Vegas don't appreciate a fresh glass of wine.
They don't chill them. They just put them on the bar top in the back.
Yeah,
they look at it, and I'm like, no. Turn around and go back. Don't even pour that for me. Open me a new bottle.
It's all dusty. Like, how is it dusty?
Like, it's just been here from last night. I'm like, no.
Sure. You didn't work last night. I already know that. Well, you know who was working last night was everyone on UFC 310. It was a good card.
It was a good card. It was a long freaking card. I was there for a long time.
What fight did you get there on?
I got there the third fight.
Damn.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't know what they were thinking.
That's a long night.
It was a very long night.
Yeah.
And very high heels and boots.
Ooh, yes. Nice.
I was breaking a new pair of boots. Not the smartest thing. My feet are a little bit sore, but it's okay. I looked good.
At least you look good. You know, looking good powers you through the pain of looking good.
No, it really does.
It helps, right?
It does. It's like, when you're in fight camp and you're doing your, last round, you're doing an extra round. And you're like, but it's important. There's something that you're working towards. It's like that.
Yeah.
Just dig down.
Yeah. Or that like weight cut when you have no energy getting on the scale for that final flex, but your abs look amazing.
Exactly.
So you
do it and you smile.
You hop up on there. Like, here I come. Yeah, so it was a long card, and at the very end, we got a real good. I love when the main event knows that everyone's tired, and they just get out there and they get it done quick.
I was so appreciative, Pantoja. I was like, you're my favorite.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. He read the room so well.
He did. He was like, these guys, they're tired. They're tired.
Yeah.
Ian Garry and Shavkat took way too long. That fight was not supposed to go to distance.
It was not.
No. So he got in there and did his thing. And man, he looked good. So when I was watching a little bit of tape on Kai Asakura, because I'm like, how did this guy get this opportunity after having lost to people who are in the UFC?
Yeah.
And I saw like a lot of explosiveness. He's really unpredictable with his striking. He has good instincts for when to throw that jump knee, when to throw the kicks, when to get in there. And he has like that touch of death too with his hands. So I'm like, okay, this guy definitely has the skills to beat someone like a Pantoja, but I felt like there were a few things that would throw him off, like not fighting in a cage.
Yes,
having
that's
that
huge.
The ropes, man, like you can get away with so much more against a grappler when you have those ropes to bounce off of. You can do like the kind of Looney Tunes, like whoa,
a little rope-a-dope,
bounce into a knee as they shoot for your legs, and also you don't get stuck up against the fence as much because there is no fence. You just fall through the ropes if you try to push someone up against there and take them down. So I felt like that would throw him off, and it definitely looked like it did. Like Pantoja was able to draw things out. Even though the knee came up and was scary at one point, I feel like he got right off to the side a little bit, so it didn't connect with the full amount that it could have. And man, it was just one-way traffic once he could get his hands on him. I was really impressed with that fight.
Yeah, it looked like I mean, from where I was standing, and I couldn't, I had a different vantage point than you did, but it just looked like everything was just a big timed explosion. He was timing it really well when Pantoja was coming in for those takedowns initially, but Pantoja started, getting the distance, getting his rhythm, and just seeing his openings that ended up leading to the finish. But it's I understand how he got that title shot because he's, the new shiny toy. He's exciting. He's a champion in another organization. There's mystique about him. It, brings in the Asian crowd that the UFC is seeking. And I understood it. It's just, but I could also understand the frustration of the other fighters that are waiting in line in the flyweight division.
No, for sure. But, I didn't really realize this, but Pantoja has cleared out the division.
He really has.
He's fought and beat everyone in spectacular fashion. So yeah, while there are people who are kind of next in line, who are right there at the top, like, okay, if there's an opening, I should be the guy that they call, it's not ideal just because they had already fought. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that someone emerges from the crowds. But right now, that was a good risk, I think, for the UFC to take, because if they had a Japanese champion, they could be doing like a UFC Japan. They could be doing a pay-per-view. We have like a few Japanese stars, or is it just one? We have the Tatsura Taira guy. Uh-huh. We have the girls from Road. I think there's a couple Japanese fighters from Road to the UFC that could get signed as well. So, there's definitely a market for them having Japanese stars, but yeah, he's going to need to beat up a few more people. And I think his style goes really well against top 5.
It makes for exciting fights at the very least.
Yeah.
It mixes things up in a way that's intriguing. So I think he's a great addition. It's just, what are they going to do with him now? Now he'll, drop down and maybe fight the number 2-3 guy. And it just, it mixes things up in a really nice way. I'm not mad at it. I understand why they were doing it. I understand, I can see both sides of everything. Yeah. So, yeah, I think he's a good addition to the UFC.
And I mean, I feel horrible for them for having to fight again to secure their spot. But how cool would Asakura versus Moreno look, or Asakura versus Royval look? Like, those are fun fights to make that mix it up and keep things fresh and keep people excited about the flyweight division. For sure. So that was a really cool one. What did you think about his call out to DJ?
I mean, I thought it was cool, but DJ, he's like, nah, they already came at me for $2 million. I'm not doing it. I don't want to fight anymore. And I respect that. He's doing really well for himself since he's retired. He doesn't need to. If the motivation's not there and the money is, you just shouldn't do it. So I like that call out. I understand it. I think that would be a sick fight that I would love to see, that we'll never ever get to see. Thanks for putting that in our minds and getting us excited for a couple seconds.
2 seconds. He literally wah, wah. He was doing like a live watching, and he was just like, me?
No.
Nah, bro.
I'm cool.
I'm good. I make that on my Twitch monthly.
Yeah. I'm good.
Bring it up a bit. Maybe he'll bite. I don't know. I feel like there's probably a number, though. Like, there's probably a number.
I
2
think
million.
Everybody has a number. 2 million, especially after DJ knows how slighted he was on the pay scale, and he's been very vocal about it.
Yeah.
I understand it. Like put a 0 on the end of that.
20 million.
20 million.
Yes.
Put a 0 on the end of it.
My dumb ass. 2 billion.
You're so smart.
why I fight.
Let your manager take care of the money part. You just get in there and kill it.
And I get mad at the judges. They do less math than I just had to do just now.
And they don't even have to do multiplication. They just have to do addition.
I know, man. Well, we'll get to the judges in a second. But what did you think about the co-main event, Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Garry?
So this is how I thought the fight would go.
Yeah, kind of, right?
I was impressed with Garry in some senses. He was more aggressive than he has been. Like when we saw him against Jeff Neal and he's just like on his bike, I'm like, oh my God, we cannot keep having this on the road to the belt.
Yeah.
We just can't do it. I thought that, they both brought the fight. I thought that they both canceled each other out really well. And I liked the adjustments that Shavkat was making.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a clear victory. There was a little bit of drama with the rear naked choke attempt.
I know.
That had me like screaming and fidgeting in my seat.
So close. He's going to be kicking himself about that moment, for a long time. But it was interesting to see him come with that type of attack. I feel like he really couldn't get much off on his feet. Like, we didn't see that many moments from Ian Garry, even though he was landing his combinations every now and then. He was kind of on his bike, like you were saying with the other fights, just waiting for that opportunity, waiting for the rush. And I think Shavkat approached it in a very safe way where he was going for the takedowns, which shuts down your striking a lot. And I don't know what kind of Ian Garry I expected to see, because in his MVP fight too, there was a lot of grappling. There was a lot of just nullifying the fight and not letting it get to that point where it became more unpredictable. You had two explosive strikers just going at it with each other. It kind of became that same kind of game plan against Shavkat, where nothing really let off because of the cautiousness of both of these fighters. So I thought it was a clear win for Shavkat, but the only moment that was closest to getting the finish, it seemed like, was Ian Garry.
Yeah, there was, what was it, the third round? I think I gave that one to Garry because he was just throwing some power kicks and he was starting to land, and he was starting to put just volume out there that was stopping Shavkat and making it difficult for him to get in for those takedowns. If he could take those moments of victory from that round and then apply it into his next fight going forward, I think he'll make for a more exciting fight and a more what's the fucking word?
Devastating.
Certain victory.
Dominant
victory.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, getting this like moment opportunity that he jumped on, like, I think he could do better for himself and set himself up for success in that way if he puts more volume and if he starts going forward, because there were some moments of success that I saw, and that was when he was pushing forward.
Yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to see that Ian Garry again, though, because he got so much criticism for getting hurt in the fights where he got these big spectacular knockouts. So I'm wondering if he took that to heart, or if like he was getting hurt and just playing it off really well, and going forward was just like, this is not a longevity type of approach that I'm taking right now. Like, if I keep doing this, I'm going to end up being punch drunk before I get to the title. And it seems like a very safe way that he's approaching it now. And just because we've seen what he could do when he first got onto the scene, we're like, come on, do that thing again, But like,
I think that we're potentially seeing him like in his evolution, and it's not completely evolved into his new style or what he's trying to adapt his style to be, but we're seeing him apply it like in real time in competition, and so against the highest level competition.
To go to decision with Shavkat Rakhmonov, I mean, that's a feat in itself. Just the fact that he was also undefeated, I think people are underplaying the fact that he was able to do that.
Yeah. I think he needs to get some credit and acknowledgement for what he did and how well he did it in that fight, and that he took Shavkat to his first decision fight.
I know.
In 19 fights.
What?
It's insane.
He probably has no confidence now. No. Shavkat's over there ripping up. I don't know.
And man, that arena had so many flags.
Ooh.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Like the energy for him. He's a superstar.
He is, man. There's something about his aura. He has something similar to that Perea type of way that he carries himself. Yeah. I don't know if it's because he just doesn't speak English.
It's the stoic.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the stoicism that is just, it's very intriguing to fans.
Yeah, it is. But he's so nice. I remember. I feel like Perea is probably very nice too, but there's something about it where there's this guy who has this
ability to kill you.
Yeah, just monster. Just such a monster. But then like we're getting off the bus. I told this story before, but we're getting off the bus and he's like, like with the bit of communication he could say, oh, you forgot your bag on the bus. I don't even think it was our bag, but we were like, oh, thank you so much. What a sweet young man. Oh my goodness. So super excited that he won because that's the fight that I wanted to see. I wanted to see him versus Belal Muhammad. I wanted to see how that looked. But after seeing how Ian Garry was able to get on top of him, was able to take his back, I don't know. I'm not liking his chances against Belal.
He was a little bit exposed in a way that I think it has people thinking that Belal has his number, especially at how well Belal performed his last time out against Leon Edwards. And I will say that Leon looked very sleepy in that fight. Not to take it away from Belal's victory.
What time is this fight happening?
I know.
Belal
Can we please have it on standard? Where's he from? London time.
Yeah.
Please let this man sleep. But yeah, I don't know. Now
it's gonna be a rough one, I think, for Shavkat because we've seen in a few of his more recent fights, people are starting to get a little bit of success against him before the inevitable happens, before he is able to put him on the floor.
Yeah.
So Belal is one of those champions that is just a calculator. In the same way people are criticizing Ian Garry for his approach, Belal is the mastermind of that type of approach where he takes intel, he works and works and works on the exact combinations that are going to work for that opponent. And with Shavkat, especially after this fight, he has a lot to take from.
Yeah, he has a lot of footage now.
Yeah. So this is probably a better situation for Belal to win than it was when they were originally meant to fight each other.
Yeah, he was exposed a little bit. There's definitely a lot of feedback and a lot of like takeaways from watching that long 5-round fight. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm still excited for it. I think it'll still be a good fight. I'm just leaning towards Belal now.
Yeah. And, the fight that was originally supposed to happen was Ian Garry versus Joaquim Buckley.
Yeah.
We got to talk to Joaquim earlier today, so make sure you check out that interview on our YouTube page. And he had some things to say about the fight as well, so make sure you check that out. And, leave comments and tell us who else we should interview and stuff. But that was really cool of him to pop in and give us
especially so close to his fight.
Yeah,
just approaching fight week and getting ready to leave. And but man, he is so impressive. I've been with him fight week in Atlantic City. His energy during his fight weeks is just it's unbelievable.
It's fun. It's like, man, this guy just like keeps going.
He just thrives off of these like high pressure situations. Like he rises to the occasion and brings out the best in him. He feeds off of it in a way that is just I really don't see very often in fighters.
No, it's really cool to see someone that close to the fight, just having that much energy, being willing to do interviews. A lot of people get to the point where even at his young career, they're just like, oh, another media thing, another this, another that. And he, like you said, he's thriving in that whole, just having the attention on him, being able to represent, being able to prove things. Like, he loves that. So it was real cool talking to him. And I love that energy. It gives me energy. Just wanting to see how that fight plays out, him versus Colby Covington. So that's going to be a fun one. But we were talking about that fight was supposed to be on the main event. One fight that wasn't, or on the main card, one fight that wasn't on the main card that a lot of people are talking about was Aljo versus Evloev. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering how you felt about the decision, especially afterwards. Watching it, I felt like that was such a more technical bout than I think a lot of people are going, oh, Kron versus Bryce Mitchell should have been like the headliner or on the prelims or whatever. But there were a few fights that could have replaced that one, and Aljo was probably the top of the list.
I heard he was very upfront about his feelings of being, put on like in the middle of the preliminary card, or
just not even a headliner spot.
Yeah, it's so the thing is, we get paid the same. Like, wherever you are on the card, it doesn't matter. You're still getting paid the same. You still, and farther up the card, you get more views. I guess more eyes are on you. So maybe that's, part of the issue. Honestly, I think it's something that you just kind of have to let go, and you can't take personal, because there's all sorts of, people fighting that have different appeals to different viewers. And it's just, you just got to understand that the UFC knows what they're doing, and they're doing things for a reason, but it's nothing to take personal, and you can't let it affect you going into a fight.
Yeah, I didn't hear Aljo complaining about it too much, or Movsar. Like, they were asked about it, but I think it was more, I guess, like a media talking point, but then also fans were really upset about it too. Like, hey, you're putting this fight before this one that actually means a lot more for the weight class and for, the future of who fights for the title.
The thing is, though, if you put, like, we had on the early prelims, we had Weidman and Eric Anders, who were supposed to be, headlining the preliminary card at Madison Square Garden. The UFC is doing it, I think, to bring views to the other fighters as well. Yeah. So if you have, a big name fight and you put it lower on the card, people are going to show up a little bit earlier to watch those fights. They're going to tune in on TV a little bit earlier to watch those fights. So I do think it is strategic. I don't think it's meant to offend.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I don't think they were too offended. But it was funny. What is this?
I don't know.
I don't think they were too offended, but it was a big deal to a lot of the fans. You saw that comment a lot on social media and on YouTube pages. And, like, part of me, the reason I thought that it happened that way is because they knew it was going to go to decision. Like, you have Aljo, who is fighting someone who is a very good grappler. Usually when Aljamain gets a finish, it's against someone who's more of a striker, someone who can't defend, like, the backpack that well. And Evloev is very good in those positions. He's very defensive. He's a big guy, too. And he goes to decision with all of his wins as well. So that was my thought behind it.
Sure.
When you have a matchup like Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie, you know someone's going to get finished.
And those are, I'm sorry, but their names carry a little bit more weight. Like, that matchup.
Oh, you think so?
I think so. I hate to say that. I hope it's not offensive, but I think that Kron Gracie's name still holds a lot of interest. Yeah.
Maybe because, like, you come from the grappling background.
Yeah, and so does Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah.
I think that was a more exciting grappling match, just because I think that they saw the way Kron fights. He was potentially also going to get knocked out or finished. Mm-hmm. I think it was just going to be a little bit more of a less competitive grappling match than Evloev and Aljamain.
Yeah, no, I definitely thought that it was a mismatch. when I saw that that fight got booked, and I figured that was why they're throwing in a sacrificial lamb for the gods of the main card to keep it exciting as you get to.
You have to feed them, otherwise they get angry.
Where are my finishes? That's it. All the title fights are going all 5 rounds. You know,
and like volcano starts erupting somewhere. Yeah. There's an earthquake. There's lightning striking down. You don't want to deal with that.
You don't get home until 2 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the main event went all 5 rounds and there were fouls. Just nut shot clock. You just kept going.
You got to appease them.
Yeah, you do. You do. So that's how I figured that happened. They came to that decision. So guys, relax. That's just the reasoning.
We appreciate you're so passionate about it, though.
Yeah, but I mean, if I was a former champion, I'd be pretty pissed too.
Well,
just saying. Or an undefeated, guy with no mustache, I'd be pretty pissed too. Just saying.
I am so marketable. What are you doing?
Just saying. Speaking of marketable, how funny is it that Merab has just been a little deviant outside of the cage?
But he does it in a way that I'm not mad at him.
I know.
I love him even more.
It's great.
I love him even more. I'm like, yes, do whatever you want, baby. Just do it.
Anything he does. Like where was it? The Craig Jones Invitational. I think that was the first one. I was just like, oh, Merab is like about that life.
Yeah.
And then before the fight, him and Umar were going at it, like going back and forth. And then after Aljo's walking back from his fight, a fan tried to, I think it turned out it was one of Umar's people. Oh. Like he was seen in like Umar's stories and all this other stuff. He started talking shit to Merab, and Merab went after him.
Okay, so Georgians run very hot.
Yes, they are like Latina women.
Don't mess with them.
Hot-blooded Georgians. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
So feisty.
Yeah, there was a lot of like musical chairs going on like from the start to the finish of that fight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody was being moved around. And I've got to say, the way Umar is promoting this fight that's been announced now, I think you need a new angle. Because he keeps talking about, like, you're ducking me. No, you guys are fighting. He's not ducking you.
Yeah, the contract is signed.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Come up with something else, please.
Well, he did, Merab has a pretty good marketing team with him right now. So he keeps doing his little lessons with Merab where he's pointing to the different faces and saying, this is why I'm fighting, or this is why I want to fight this guy. This is why I want to fight that guy. So I get why he's going that angle, saying, oh, you're trying to duck me. You're trying to do this and that. But yeah,
it's signed.
It's done. It's going to happen. Unless one of your lackeys get a hold of Merab and then he, I don't know, gets an eye poke or gets cut or something. Like, Merab will probably still fight.
Call off your henchman.
Yeah, call him off. Like, you get to do the job. Don't make your henchman do the job because you might just ruin a really good opportunity.
It's crazy how, like, heavy they roll. Like,
right?
They roll deep.
Yeah.
If there's one, there's 20.
Oh, you gotta watch out,
and
man.
they jump out of nowhere.
You don't know who they are. It's like any
they all
guy,
have their hoods on, so you can't tell.
Yo, look out for anyone without a mustache, because like that guy might be after you, Merab. Yeah. Like he might be after you. Be careful out there. Of course, he's not going to be careful, though. There are a lot of fights, like little backstage scuffles, though. Like you had
Nate Diaz in the water bottle.
Yeah, Nate Diaz in the water bottle with Islam. I didn't know they had beef.
Why? When?
Yeah, I thought they were like two different realms of people.
You don't even know each other.
Yeah. And then who else? Oh, Jamal was getting after it with Pereira.
Oh, at the PI, yeah.
At the PI. Were you there for that? Tell me you were there.
I wasn't. I was just coming into town, but I talked to him afterwards.
Oh, okay. What did he say?
Yeah, he met up with me and Brian and everybody on like Team Sucker Punch.
Nice.
He just, he just said that he's embracing his role of the heel.
The heel is a hill? Or is the hill a hill?
That is the question.
Jamal Hill, that is. Get it, Jamal Hill. Anyway.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
We on. We're checking. I got you.
I need to embrace my heel. Man, I need to get more heel-like so I can get more fights. I'm like dying over here with my measly 2 fights a year.
Oh, poor thing.
I'm used to having 7.
Aw. You know, it's like the stock market. It's just up and down sometimes, you know?
All right. You need to help me with my heel-ness.
Am I a heel?
Who am I? No, but you can give me, like, you watch, like, Real Housewives and all those shows where, like, you have the villain who everyone wants to see get fucked up. That's what I need to do so people book me on the fights.
You got to let Angela Trill out more often. I know, but nobody wants to do that because once you turn heel, there's no going back, and you have to really be okay with.
Girl, I've been heel since I was born.
They don't get to see it.
Born a hill, die a hill, because I didn't take Adam's last name.
It was a strategic marketing tactic.
Yeah, there you go. I knew this day would come. Yeah, I do. I do need to let Angela Trill out a little bit more. Maybe
it's in you. It's in there. It's in there behind those pecs.
Maybe at the Intuit. Maybe in where is that? LA. We can
throw a chair.
We can storm them with Angela Trill and Hot Mess Jess.
Yes,
get some shit brewing.
Oh man, they'll be sorry the day they met them.
Angela Hill's looking for a fight. Yeah, that'll be fun. But yeah, there were a lot of fights backstage. I forget who else was going after it, but yeah, it looked like a pretty heated weekend. I don't know, maybe because it was the last pay-per-view of the year or something. Everyone.
Just trying to act out, trying to promote a fight.
Right? Everyone has the same idea. It's going to get old soon. By the time I do it, people are like, bitch, we know what you're doing.
Do it anyways.
You still got to wait until May.
Do it anyway.
Me. I will. It'll be fun. What did you think about the Joshua Van fight? We were very wrong. Mm-hmm. Joshua Van is legit.
Yeah,
he is a monster. And someone on our page, I forget who, but we saw your comment. You were saying that Joshua Van has hands, and you were right. He looked amazing. The first round kind of went how I thought it would.
Yeah, that's how I thought the fight would go.
Yeah, and I thought Durden would be able to keep doing that every round. Maybe take a few hits here or there, but still be able to keep that wrestling pace and really mess up Joshua Van with the pacing and with the out grappling. But Van has power, man.
Yeah, his Durden ability just kind of
he was not Durdenable.
He was not.
Durdenable.
It works.
No,
it works.
Okay.
No, it works.
Thanks.
It works.
Yay. Okay, good.
We got it. Yeah, he just started piecing them up with his hands, and he made it so that Durden just couldn't get in on him. You know, he couldn't find the timing anymore. He couldn't find those entrances. Van did a great job with his boxing and keeping that distance.
He did. It looked like every time he hit him, it made a huge difference in just his body language, his drive, his ability to close the distance. Everything was really affecting him, and it made me think like, man, he must have some power. It's like that. I don't even know like where Myanmar is. It's in Asia somewhere, but he looks like those islanders.
Got to be close to like Mongolia or
something
like that, or maybe like Samoa.
Yeah, those guys with the heavy bones. Those places are in totally different places in the world, but you know what we mean. He looks heavy-handed. Like, you can tell. He looks like his bone density is just a little heavier than what he's able to show up and do. But it was funny. I was watching the fight, and the commentators were really critical of Durden's coaches because they were saying, you got to win this round in the third. And they're like, why are they telling him that? We're sure that he won the first round. Like, he should just go out there and play it safe. And then, sure enough, when it went to the judges' scorecards, 2 of the judges gave Van the first round because he was landing with power and just making it really visible that it was hurt. So I thought that was a good job by the coaches. And, yeah, sometimes the commentators don't know as much as they think they do.
Sometimes they don't, but it's they could be, looking at focusing on the different things, and missing the details and the intricacies.
Yeah. Well, we forgot to talk about it, but let's talk about it now. Speaking of judges, they are about to be put on blast right now. Because we have a couple of repeat offenders who scored the fight for Gane in the Gane versus Volkov fight.
I'm bringing it up. Hold on.
Yeah, it was Adelaide Bird and I always mess up his name, Junico Chijiro, who both scored. I think it was the first and the second round for Cyril Gane. And man, like I have to rewatch the first round because when I was watching the fight, I thought it could have easily been 3-0 for Volkov.
It could have been, but if you look at like the stats, the significant strikes, you have Gane like winning the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, but you have to think about the control.
Yeah,
and they both got rocked in the second round. So it really it was really frustrating for me to see that, and I'm wondering how many people saw that first round for him. I think most people scored the first round for Cyril Gane, so maybe that was why I was so taken aback by the decision. But man, it just looked like Volkov's fight. He was controlling. He was on top. They hurt each other equally in the second round, but I think Volkov finished stronger. And then in the third round, Cyril Gane was going for nothing.
The thing that's been really evident to me since he fought Ngannou is that his fight IQ
he can't grapple.
Is not great. He goes like he went for the leg again like he did in the Ngannou fight. That lost him the third round.
Yeah.
That lost him that fight, making that decision. And he constantly in this fight with Volkov put himself in really bad positions, going for a leg again, going that for that Kimura and not really doing anything with it. It's like when you are learning submissions, you also have to learn and understand when to abandon them and when to move on.
Yeah.
Because he literally stayed on bottom in the third round trying to grip that Kimura, and it really just, I mean, his hands were, locked, but there were no leverage points. He wasn't able to move or affect the base of Volkov, and he just needs to understand. I hope this is a big wake-up call for him that he needs to be able to make those decisions faster.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes that he went for that Kimura in a very blue belt way. It
is the blue belt mentality.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I got this. I'm going to get it.
I'm just going to latch on and close my legs and hope that you magically fall into my submission. And it was obvious he didn't have anything, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe the reason people are so upset about that fight is because of the optics of the third round. Because the second round was close, and I
gave that round to Gane.
Yeah, and I acknowledge the second round was very close, but I thought that the first round, maybe the second round, definitely the third went to Volkov. So I kind of feel sorry for him, but I think maybe after talking with you about it and seeing like the fans' opinions on which rounds were won, maybe we were all just seeing something different. But that last round was very obvious who would win the fight if it had gone 5 rounds. So it might have been a little closer than we thought. But yeah, I thought that the judges got it wrong. And when you look at these fights where the betting lines are a certain way, when the underdog clearly wins, but the favorite ends up being the one who gets the decision, you got to think that there's something else going on.
It does bring that up, and it's really unfortunate that it does bring that up, but it does.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It backs it up. It makes sense.
It does. We got our foil hats on, and we're on to you, judges.
So it was Adelaide Bird who gave Gane the first and second. Eric Colin gave him the first. He's actually the one that gave it to Volkov. And then Junichiro Kamiju.
Yes, he's the one on the list that I always mess up with. And then look at the media scores.
And your girl. The media scores, not one person gave it to Gane. Oh, sorry, Danny Segura from MMA Junkie.
Idiot. Hey, shut up.
Hey, they're going to get mad at you. You know how strongly they feel about Butcher.
I know. I know.
Telling that poor angel to shut up.
I'm sorry, Butcher. I'm going to get it after we're done.
The comments are going to go crazy.
How dare you shush him? Oh, man. But yeah, that is always my clear reasoning behind, okay, that definitely was the wrong score, or at least everyone's seeing something that the judges aren't, and we need to get on the same page. If you look at even if you look at Aljamain Sterling's fight versus Evloev, if you look at who was it, Randy Brown's fight versus Brian Battle, it seems like all of those fights were scored on different criteria, because you're in one fight you're scoring control more, another fight you're scoring damage more, another fight you're scoring aggression more. Like they're not clear on the criteria of what they're going to score a fight. Either that or they don't care. Either that or they know that because of the way MMA judging is, they can make a case for any decision that they come to, and no one's going to call them on it.
Mm-hmm. Let me pull this up really fast. Of course, it's going to take slow.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I thought that was the wrong decision. I thought it was a really close fight with the Evloev Aljamain Sterling fight.
Yeah.
But I feel like whatever Adelaide Bird and Junichiro Chikiru came to with the Gane Volkov fight, they would have picked Sterling to win.
Potentially, yeah. No, it tracks. I get what you're saying. It does back that up.
Same with Battle versus Brown. Mm-hmm. So because we don't have a clear idea of what wins us decisions, then we're going to keep coming back to this.
Yeah.
And in my theory, it should be damage and control, and whoever got closest to finishing the fight. And I think in the Volkov fight, it was Volkov. I think in the Evloev Sterling fight, it was mostly grappling, so it was hard to tell. But like when it comes to control time, Sterling controlled longer than
it's
Evloev
just the
did.
Optics of the last part of the round that was impressionable, and I think that is
and that
a
needs
key
to be
factor.
clear too.
Yeah,
that needs to be cleared up. Are we scoring the end of the round higher than the beginning? Because in the rule book, that's not supposed to be the way it happens.
It's just, I feel like it's human error.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's just what left the last impression, the last thing that you see before you take, and draw that number down on the page.
Yeah, but
that's what they're doing it off of.
But if your job is to be a fair judge and to not allow the last minute of a fight to affect how you thought about the first 4 minutes of a fight, then you have to go.
No, of course, that's what I mean. It's human error.
Yeah.
It's not right.
And I don't think
it's just
that
trying to understand it.
Yeah, for sure. No, I don't. I definitely don't think that they are accounting for that. If that's the way you're going to score, or they understand. Okay, I'm going to score the last 2 minutes of the round higher than the first 3 minutes,
which doesn't make sense for me.
Yeah, so it's like you use the same energy to control the first half of the fight that you will use for the second half. So it shouldn't matter time-wise if it's a fight with rounds.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, just have us fight for 10 minutes and see what happens.
Yeah.
Have us fight for 15 minutes straight with no breaks and see what happens. But if you're going to score, okay, who did the best in these 5 minutes, it should be all equal. So it's really frustrating as a fighter, frustrating as a commentator, as a future coach, like to understand what is winning decisions, because most fights go to decision.
Yeah.
Like you can't just say finish a fight. especially when you get to the highest level, especially when these fights at the highest level that are probably going to go to decision are going to be the ones that make or break your career. It's just really frustrating.
It makes it so difficult to guide your fighter to success.
Yeah.
You know, when you don't have that clear, concise road to victory, you don't understand the scoring criteria. So how can you coach your fighter to victory?
Yeah. What did you think about the Randy Brown-Brian Battle fight?
I thought that Randy Brown won.
Yeah, me too. One thing that I think would be interesting is if they implemented I don't compliment PFL for much, but
you're going to do it. Wow.
PFL, open your ears. I love that when someone misses weight, they deduct the point from the weight misser's scorecard.
Because 90%, statistic wise, 90% of the time, if you miss weight, you're winning that fight.
Yeah.
Because you come in fresher, you come in heavier, you've put your body through less harm. It has to recover from less trauma. It is a thing. It's a real freaking thing.
It is. And I felt horrible when I saw, because, you know, they're both my boys. But but I felt horrible when I saw on Randy Brown's story, oh, man, I suffered. I did all this to make the weight. I prepared. I suffered. I went through all the pain of losing those last 4 pounds, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And that's heartbreaking.
Yes.
It's heartbreaking because just because a fighter is professional and just because they make weight without complaining doesn't mean they didn't go through hell in order to make that weight.
Exactly.
You know, so Randy Brown is huge. He has a huge frame. He's a big, tall, skinny guy. Much skinnier when he makes weight, but he is huge. And Brian Battle looked wide. He looked more filled out. He was a bigger guy. He was able to smush him up against the fence because he was the bigger guy in there. So it was really heartbreaking to watch that. And then just watch him kind of stuff the fight, just restrain Randy Brown in order to win the fight. There were a few things that seemed to really bother him, like the knees, I think, in the clinch. You know, stuff like that was able to bother them. But a lot of it seemed like he just had more energy, he had more weight, and he was able to
take
use
the punches better.
He could
walk through them easier.
Yeah. Your chin isn't as weak. I always say that when you cut weight, you're taking water out of your brain, and then when you get hit, your brain's rattling around in there because there's
no cushion.
You can't rehydrate the brain as fast as you can rehydrate the other muscles. It's science.
Trust us.
I read it somewhere, I think. I'm pretty sure it's true. But you definitely see that when someone moves up a weight class, they seem to be able to take a little bit more on the chin. And with that fight, you could tell that one person was a little more filled out than the other. Yep. So I was frustrated for him, especially because it was such a close fight, and that little difference of weight might have made or break the way the judges saw it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Who were the judges in the battle versus Brown fight? You just had it.
That was Michael Bell, Adelaide Bird, Ron McCarthy.
Okay, and they all scored it, or no, it was split.
So Michael Bell scored it for Brown.
Okay.
The second and the third round for Brown.
And Bell was the one that scored it for Volkov too, right? Michael Bell.
My boy.
You are on
the
other list. Yeah.
It's very rare to get on that list, but you're on there, my friend.
You are the lone warrior trying to make judging great again.
Yeah.
Like, congrats to you.
We need to make him a t-shirt.
We did. Mike Bell scored this. Perfect. We'll get that on the store for you. Well, there were a bunch of other fun fights that we wanted to hit on. Dohoo Choi looked really good, unfortunately, against our homeboy, Nate Landwehr. He was just able to not let him get off. He wasn't able to get his rhythm going.
Yeah, and man, Nate looked so sharp warming up. I got to go to his morning shakeout, And he just looked so good, so tough. He was putting things in together. He has great energy. I was looking forward to seeing him on the mic afterwards because that man is like a walking freaking
right.
Wait, he's amazing. He needs a mic on him at all times. But Dohoo Choi just looked so sharp, so fast, and he made it really challenging for Nate to be offensive.
Yeah. I don't think anyone expected that approach either. Nate Landwehr.
Definitely not. No,
yeah, we expected like a striking match. We expected to see Dohoo Choi's boxing, which was on display, but he coupled that with his grappling, which just looks so impressive right now.
He put it together in a way that I haven't seen from him. Yeah. He's definitely like evolved since his last outing. Something, and I really liked his boxing. MMA fighters don't traditionally throw the right.
Oh my God. Butcher.
MMA fighters don't traditionally throw.
He knows that I'm not going to yell at him now because
he knows. He's just unhinged now. He's just doing over. Whatever he wants.
Taking over the show.
No consequences.
Just don't put your headphones on him.
Never again.
Oh my God.
What he was doing was he was going to the body and to the head of Landwehr with his right hooks. And we don't traditionally see that in MMA. It's more of like a boxing style. Good. It was really good. I need to take that.
Just that one thing.
Just that.
Yeah.
And I mean, he did lots of other good things, but that was my biggest takeaway where I'm like, I need to use that because that was really nice.
No, I'm not sure if he saw it on tape, but the way that he dealt with Landwehr's shell block was really nice.
Yeah, whenever he would shell, he would go to the body.
Yeah, or straight up the middle with the uppercut. Like everything he was landing was just, it seemed like he was chilling in there. Like, I mean, he's famous for...
He was in a flow state.
Yeah, he's famous for not really, like, emoting his emotions whether he's doing great, whether he's doing bad. But there's this really funny picture of him on Landwehr's back, and he's just like, I was just like, God damn, like, poor Nate. But it was a really awesome fight, and to see him evolve like that, it's kind of like what you were talking about with Ian Garry. Like, I think Dohoo Choi is doing it better now, but we missed a lot of the growing pains because he hasn't been super active. Yeah. So we haven't seen him, in his evolved state until now. But he's really good at putting it all together, and I love that he's working with Korean Zombie. I love that they're building like a big base out there in Korea. So it's going to be fun to see what the future is for him. And yeah, I keep thinking I'm going to end up seeing him on one of those Netflix specials.
Maybe.
I started watching the Chef Challenge. Have you seen that one?
No, not that one.
It's good. It's good. But then like the Physical 100 too, and then like Squid Game, the TV show. But all that stuff, I feel like Dohoo Choi is going to pop up on one of those one day.
I hope Korean Zombie does.
I know.
He's such a celebrity. I can't believe he hasn't.
I know. Well, they had, who was it? Homeboy, Sexyama was on the Physical 100. Yeah. He was such a G on that thing. Like when they had to move the big ship and he just took charge and he was like coaching them basically. It was really awesome to watch. So hopefully we see that happen. But that was such a crazy finish by Dohoo Choi, and he just looked super happy afterwards. It took away the sting of a Nate Landwehr loss to see him that happy and just so good at what he's been working on.
We got to talk about Bryce Mitchell and Kron Gracie.
Yes. Oh shit. Yeah, we do. The fight that the fans didn't want on the card, but they actually did.
They did. They wanted it.
Card. They wanted it. They lust for blood.
So Kron Gracie came off of over a year layoff from fighting, and he said that he had a lot of stuff to work on, and his approach to fighting, definitely needed to change. But Bryce Mitchell made him revert right back to pulling guard, jumping guard, and just trying to submit from bottom, which at one point he got close. But Bryce Mitchell is big, strong, and savvy on the ground, and he defended nicely, and ended up getting the finish with a spectacular forearm slam, reinforced by the forearm slam to the ground, followed by 2 extra elbows. It was pretty nasty. It was a nasty knockout.
It was funny they missed that part because as soon as he did it, I was like, fuck.
That is going to hurt.
There was a fighter that got a slam like that before, Gerald Harris. He was like, he was in Bellator a few times, LFA, all these other names. Yeah, you've seen him fight before. His slam knockout went viral, but it reminded me of that. And when I saw him hit the ground and just the placement of that forearm is like right against the chin. So as soon as you hit the ground, that little elbow push of your head into the mat just gives you that extra concussive bump. Yeah. And then you're just like, fuck.
It's like being in a car wreck.
Yeah. It's that shake that you get. And so when you followed up with the elbows, then it was really clear that that slam hurt him. And that part was really impressive. The fight up until then, it was a little awkward. Like the striking from both of them, I'm like, oh, okay. All right, this is cool. But I thought that Bryce looked better on the ground against Kron than he did on the feet.
Yeah. So the
aside
thing about,
from the almost armbar you were talking about.
the thing about MMA grappling, MMA grapplers versus traditional grapplers in MMA fights is that it's a lot easier to defend and nullify the attacks just because you have the punches. You don't have to worry about, passing necessarily. You can just kind of keep safe. You can strike, and that really disrupts the submission attempts of the grappler.
Yeah.
So it was I thought that the fight might go that way, but it looked like Bryce was just really comfortable, like inside the guard where Kron wanted to be.
Yeah. You know what Kron reminded me of when he would jump guard?
Me?
No.
I do that sometimes.
Not like that. No. He reminded me of that video with the kitten when you're playing with his belly and then it goes, like every time Bryce got close enough to him, he would just face hugger onto his body, and it was so frustrating because I'm like, dude, or anytime Bryce would kind of change level and get close to him, he just jump on it, and I feel like there's so much more crafty ways to get you to the ground as a BJJ specialist, and he chose to pull guard. I felt like it was, I won't say lazy, but it's predictable. And there's a lot of people like Ronnie Yaya, for instance, who are able to just lull you into a false sense of security on the feet, which he was doing all right. He was hitting, but then I felt like he just got too eager when he saw the guard pull available instead of trying to push Bryce, trying to move him backwards, trying to off balance roll for like an Imanari roll, like something where it was a little less predictable, but you're not gonna do the thing that puts you in guard where you can get hit in the head.
I understand what you're saying, but if you think about it, like if you take somebody who is, a college wrestler, a high school wrestler, and you put them in MMA, they're going to go for a double leg every single time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you can teach them striking, you can teach them all these things, but as soon as they get hit, they're going to shoot. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same thing with Kron. I mean, he doesn't have much MMA experience, so he can, take time off and he can train his takedowns, his judo, his, maybe, doing something different, his trips. But when it comes down to it, he's going to revert back to where it's comfortable, even though it's not the right thing to do.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, was that the only takedown he had? Like, not even takedown, but
he's trained other ones.
But like in his jiu-jitsu career, did he?
He's a guard puller.
Did he just pull guard?
No, he's a guard puller.
Okay, so that's kind of the funny thing when you think about styles too. Like, there's a lot of styles that aren't as just successful in MMA. Sure. But within the realm of jiu-jitsu, like if you have someone who is good at the judo throws, good at clinch, good at foot sweeps, that type of thing, then they have a lot more success getting the fight to the ground than someone who just sits down.
I absolutely agree, 100%. And I think that's what we're seeing. Mm-hmm. We've seen certain high-level, wrestlers, but they're more folk-style wrestlers go into MMA and just not translate well.
Yeah.
It just doesn't necessarily work. And, it's, and again, a little bit in Kron's defense is that he's, being thrown into the mix at a very high level and, having to learn to fly. It's kind of like what we saw with CM Punk, we see it with certain people that, have a big name, have a big following in their own rights and their own, places outside of the MMA sphere. And then they come in because they have a big name and they're just put into really difficult situations that it may have served them better to climb the ladder.
Feel bad that you just compared him to CM Punk.
Why? Was that not a good reference? Did I do a bad thing? Do we need to edit this out?
It was great.
Do we need to edit this out? By the way, I love CM Punk.
CM Punk is awesome. No.
But what did I do?
I would say that Kron was a little more prepared for an MMA fight than CM Punk coming in from his previous career.
Potato.
But I do agree. It was a lot. Just looking at the records, Kron's 5-2 and Bryce is like 16 and something. So just looking at that, there's a huge experience gap. He's being put against these people because he's such a high level in one area. So yeah, it's rough if you can't evolve, and it doesn't seem like he's been able to get away from his style too much, even with making that mental decision to do everything.
Yeah, I wish they would have started him off in like LFA or CFFC. Like I wish they had started him a little bit better.
a little easier
urban organization so that he can learn and grow and evolve. And then, come onto the scene in a big way.
Well, he did start strong. So I think sometimes that can be a blessing and a curse,
Yeah.
When you start strong, then you move up a little too fast and then you get smashed a little bit. Well, yeah, that was, we talked a lot. But just quickly, our boy Chase Hooper fought.
Yes.
He fought it awesomely. He didn't get his banana split, but he did get a good submission win. It was really cool to see. Make sure to check out our interview with Chase Hooper if you haven't before. My nose is going crazy.
Uh-oh.
And we also got to interview Buckley. We mentioned that earlier, but make sure you check that out as well. He'll be fighting Colby Covington next weekend as the first main event. So he had a lot of fun things to say, so you guys should definitely check that out too.
We also had Eric Anders have a big win against Chris Weidman, and he was one of our first interviews.
So go back a little bit.
Back into the Two Straws archives.
Scroll
you won't be
down.
Sorry.
Maybe you'll see a short.
Lots of goodies
from it to remind you to check it out. But yeah, it was a really great card. I had a lot of fun watching it. Sometimes the cards aren't fun, and this one was definitely it had a lot of good moments.
Yes.
Yeah. So we will be back for our preview. Oh wait, no. Yeah, preview.
Yes, our preview.
Our preview for next week in the bonus section. If you're not a member, make sure to hit that join button and become a member, and you can listen to it right now. But if you're not a member, then you just gotta wait a few days. But you'll hear it eventually. So make sure to tune in, come back, and check us out. All the videos, like, subscribe, follow.
See ya.
Become members.